Hello everybody and welcome back to Chronicle RuneScape Legends. Now it's been a while since our last video. They released a new hero. He's pretty OP, but you need a lot of cards to make him work really well. But today I'd like to talk about Linza again. Now my last Linza video had some issues. The deck I chose was pretty terrible. But I think it's important for understanding how Linza works, so I posted it anyway. Today we're going to be trying a new Linza deck that I've been working on, and I know what you're thinking. Clever pun. How many One Punch Man references does the internet really need? Why couldn't you think of a different name for this deck? You are uncreative and ridiculous. That's true. I am uncreative, but Hulk smash. I don't know. Does anybody really care about the Incredible Hulk and Buster's sword or Berserk reference? I thought those were pretty played out too. Anyway, the problem with my last deck is that I didn't really focus on what made Linza good, which is weapon combat, and I made her too much like Ari. So for this one, we've got One Punch Linza, One Punch. And the goal here is to get a big weapon and kill a bunch of stuff. Pretty straightforward. Now, this deck went through a lot of revisions because getting that big weapon, obviously you need to get a weapon in your hand. I originally was using Gravite long swords and then maybe one of these guys to turn it into a 4-3. I think the easier answer is just putting more and better weapons in it. Unfortunately, a lot of the good weapons that Linza has, like, where'd it go? The Chaotic Longsword's pretty nice. This is too, but it's pretty expensive. If you have either of these cards, then those are probably good choices for this deck. But ultimately, this deck doesn't have a lot of rare cards in it. It has commons and uncommons, but no red gems or diamonds, so that's good. But let's go through the cards and see what they do. Ollie more sun, gold, the end. Mimic, more gold. Ring of Chaos, Ring of Cheros. Chaos? Cheros? Have I been mispronouncing it this whole time? Anyway, more gold. Makes your weapon stronger. Makes your weapon stronger. Oh, weapon. Oh, weapon. Gold. Technically gold by proxy. Draw cards. Makes your weapon stronger. Makes your weapon stronger. Makes your weapon stronger. Health. Deal damage to rival. Deal damage to rival. Make your weapon stronger. Health. And base attack. Armor. Technically armor and base attack, but you can also use it to reduce your opponent's armor. I wouldn't win the game that way. And armor. So you can see this deck's pretty straightforward. You get a big fat weapon, however you can, and then you use it to kill as many things as you possibly can before your opponent either destroys it or the durability runs out. Ideally, you want to keep your weapon as long as possible and bring it into the final battle, but that's not always easy. Especially if one has weapon removing cards. Now there are some things this deck is missing that could be handy, like I guess Drunken Dwarf, but I think it'd be a way to heal without spending durability on a Clonaromancer. This would be nice. This deck doesn't have enough durability cards to counter the anti-durability cards that other people can use. I'm not sure what the point of this is. Yeah. Like I said, these two would be handy. Char would be nice. This could be in certain matchups. This would be nice because you might end up with some extra stuff, but it's putting a lot of resources into one weapon, so I'm not sure it'd always be helpful. And, Moon Dragon. I think it's not terrible. That could be nice. But let's talk about the stuff I didn't include, because I think it's kind of important. Adamant Dragon is very nice, but he's also kind of a win more card. Killing him isn't always consistent. It doesn't give you consistent results, so I took him out. I had... Where'd he go? I had a Sergeant Grimspike in here at one point, but I don't think he does enough for a weapon charge. And I had this in here as kind of a backup way to get another weapon, but I never ended up using him for that, so he didn't fit the deck. Yeah, I had this in here instead of the Crashing War for card draw, but I think they're pretty equivalent. And then what else was there? I played around a lot with how to get the gold you need. Like originally I had 2 mimics in there and no rings and things like that. But and then I had like a Shug and then the aforementioned weapon base attack guy. What's his name? Anyway, point being, this deck could still be fine-tuned. There's still things that you could change that I think would make this deck work a lot better, but in its current state it works pretty well, I think. So, yes. Did I change anything? Weird. I guess it's just ask you every time. Anyway, as you can see, my ranked performance has been kind of a hit and miss. It depends a lot if the opponent has any weapon durability removing cards, if I'm honest. But there's always going to be counters to no matter what deck you play. I mean, even that direct damage deck that I got up to gold with, it was countered by a lot of heals and armor and things like that. So, all right. Now, the important thing about your opening hand is that you need a weapon. So mulligan anything that isn't a weapon. Pretty straightforward. You can see here that I didn't quite get it. So we're going to have to skip the first chapter, which is one of this deck's shortcomings, is that if you don't get the right hand, then you may end up wasting a lot of time, not getting very much done. But beyond that, I think that the deck is pretty straightforward to play. You know, get a weapon, buff it, kill junk. We're fighting a OP new hero. Now, one thing I will say about him is that he does a lot of the same things Linza does, but better. But at the same time, he needs much more specific hands and cards to get all of his OP stuff to work properly, so I don't know. We'll see how this one does. Not a spectacular start. Maybe 2 wolves for a more early card draw would be better. Alright, here we go. I will get a little heal from that. Alright, good. He wasted a bar fight. Most people only run one of those, so I am I'm very thankful he used that early. You can get a Culinary going next chapter. Ah, shit. That's not good. Right after I just said people only want one of those. Thanks a lot. That's very problematic. But he has wasted both of those. Which is some small consolation, I guess. We may have just won just because of that. Or we may have just lost just because of that. He may have just won. But to be expected. Even after everything, after all the fine tuning, I still don't think Linza is consistent as some of the other characters. Yeah. You want to waste only 2 chapters, doesn't matter. So there you go.
At least I tried.
Linza. She's very, very easily countered. At least this version of her is. Now, I saw another version of Linza where it focused on giving her cheap weapons and using her spend weapon effects to do a lot of damage. We kind of used that last game, or with the last video, and I don't think it was necessarily very good.
Sure, I can go first.
I kind of want to keep some of these, but it's too optimistic to keep them when you don't have a weapon. Alright, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, Raptor does have that card that's remove weapon durability from rival and deal damage to them, so this might be another matchup where we just lose automatically if he plays that card.
Welcome. It is good to see you again.
Taking 5 damage. No complaint about that. I also saw another version of this deck where they used weapons to kill smaller creatures rather than bigger creatures, which might be a more reliable way to heal it, because that way you're not having to buff up your weapon to ridiculous levels to get a large effect from it, and that makes you less vulnerable to weapon durability removal. But I don't know. I feel like Linza does have the tools to be a successful character, but it's her consistency that is the problem. It's not necessarily her efficacy. Okay. Well, honestly, I want to start with that. Now, the problem with this card, which is why I'm still a little hesitant on including, is that it basically costs 2 weapon durability. So after this, I'm going to be at 4, and after this, I'm going to be at 2. So 4, 2, 1. No. I'll go with the safer, boring play. You want to try and have at least 2 weapon durability around so that you can activate durability plus effect from monsters. Yeah, like I just drew one, so there you go. This deck relies on the idea that killing the big monsters, their effects are going to be more potent than killing a bunch of little monsters reliably. I don't always think that's the case. That's why I have this guy in here, because sure, you might not be dealing as much damage, but it's only costing you 1 durability charge. I think we'll go him and then do him as our first play next turn. This is as much defense from weapon durability removal as we're going to get, so may as well do that just as a backup. That set armor to 5 guys look really nice right now. Yeah, never mind. Pretty good play from him, though. It looks like he's playing an armor raptor. But we should be able to outdo him pretty well, by the looks of it. We are in chapter 4 though, so we are getting close. I think I want to do this first, just in case he pulls some shenanigans. And we do have the Ring of Cheros plus God Sword as a backup if he does remove our weapon somehow. Thankfully, I don't think there's any cards that just straight up remove your opponent's weapon. It's all based on durability. So having a high durability as a buffer is very good. Got some good 15 armor. That would have been a nice card for me to keep. A little bit more armor. So now we're in chapter 5, so we've got to think about how many weapon charges we want to take into the final battle. Is each weapon charge worth what we're trading it for?
I must prepare for battle.
And I think in this case it obviously is going to be worth it. I mean, see, here's a 10 damage swing versus a 12 damage swing. I don't think that's worth it, so we will lay off on that. But the 10 health is worth it. Although we kill him in 3 hits anyway. So maybe the 2 armor is worth it to help make us survive a little bit longer. That's 5, 4, 3 weapon charges into the final battle. Yeah, that's plenty. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. If he gets a buttload of armor, then the weapon charge will slightly outvalue the this guy. But at the same time, if he it's just with a durability reduction. Does he have another one of those armor to health cards? Ooh, that's rough. But I think we still win. Especially since we go first. Going first in this game is way overpowered. Skadoosh.
If you jump into the furnace, expect to get burned.
Oh gee, another meaningless level. I really hate games that are just wins minus losses with their ranking system. Give me some ELO. Give me something to help compensate for a shitty matchup. And this Rising Star thing is completely just so stupid. Alright.
Sure, I can go first.
No, I think we will go with... It's a little optimistic to keep this. That's why. Looks like we're not doing anything this chapter, but when we will be able to do something, it'll be a good turn.
If I can, I should play some cards. I'm ready.
Maybe we should swap out Crassian Warrior for the Wolf, just as a backup in the early stages. If you fight the Crassian Warrior as a basic character, then you're taking 7 damage to draw 2 cards and getting 1 gold. But the Wolf, you're taking 5 damage to draw 2 cards and 2 gold. So I don't know. Maybe Craftsman Warrior is better with the base attack. But at the same time, is if you have a high weapon charge and you want to spend it on drawing cards, then both the White Wolf and the Craftsman Warrior are spending a charge, but the Craftsman Warrior isn't doing an automatic 2 damage to you, so... Still not enough.
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't like where this is going. Not at all. In other news, they added this thing, which is really nice. And you can pay even less attention to the game. I alt tab a lot, so... Yeah, base attack Linza. It's a pretty common deck. I saw a YouTube video or two on it. So now, we've basically skipped 2 chapters, so can our other 3 chapters outvalue her last 3 chapters? Because she's basically gained 2 base attack, and lost 1 health, and dealt 10 damage. Yeah, we're fucked.
Oh, at least I tried.
Yeah, at least you tried. Not very hard. Alright, so let's go back. Collection. Maybe swap out this guy and a Craftsman Warrior. And then add in 2 wolves as a sort of buffer if our opening hand isn't good. So those are our weaknesses. Inconsistent opening hands and weapon durability removal. Now, obviously every deck is going to have some weaknesses unless you're a newly released character who's really overpowered. But you want to defray those weaknesses as much as possible. So this way in our opening hand we're looking for either weapons or card draw. Actually, I don't mind going second with this deck because it can actually be quite helpful. Yeah, I'm not going to optimistically keep those this time. Okay, there we go, finally. Now, Ozane does have a card that lets you steal weapon durability from rival, so those are something to watch out for when you're fighting him. Now, obviously, if you're fighting another Linza, she has that remove 3 weapon durability from opponent for 1 card, 0 gold. This is pretty rough. Although, one nice thing about fighting Ozane is that he sometimes gives you 2 gold for free. Of course, he can sometimes broker that into damage, so we'll do that. But I'm not worried, as long as he doesn't remove the last gold we need. Yeah. So he wasted half of his opening chapter, which is comforting. Alright, some good draws now. See, that's the problem with the White Wolf, is that now...
Yep, I'm ready.
To kill it, I need to take 2 damage, which I don't really want to do. Especially not for a weapon charge. I'll optimistically not play very much so I can save at least 2 weapon charges, try and get a durability buff. Maybe that's not the right play. Maybe I should have just started over with a new weapon. Fucking asshole. See, now we're fucked because I took the safer option. But I don't know if playing cards there would have really done much good anyway. Let's try this. Let me start our weapon count.
Yep, I'm ready.
We might die in this chapter. We can do a lot of shenanigans with those in. We didn't include any. We don't have any healing, so. I mean, this deck can rebound from a weapon loss. Sometimes. It's not something I really want to do in most circumstances. I think we have to open with this, hope he doesn't deal any damage to us.
I have low health. I must be careful.
Instead of 3 weapon traits from then, we'll just use the last one or something.
Yep, I'm ready.
I'm hoping I'll gain more armor. Harsh, bro. You might tell me this chapter. Did those in the wrong order. Doesn't matter. I think we'll do one more and that'll be enough embarrassment for one day. So like I said, Linza does have the tools to be successful. She's just not consistent. Now, I heard that Dust Devil on her in your opening hand is really, really overpowered. Spend your weapon, remove 1 base attack from rival. But, I'm not sure control decks are really reliable in this game. Now we're getting somewhere.
Sure, I can go first.
Kill me, Smalls. I guess this guy's still better than nothing.
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a Linza, so we gotta watch out for Tool Belt. See, in this situation, playing a Black Arm Bandit would have been that's why I had it in there originally, because, you know, you just want the gold, but I must admit that White Wolf is more versatile, even if it's more costly in terms of resources. And in another version of this deck, I actually had the KGP agent plus you know, that 3 gold skeleton guy. But I don't know. It's just making this deck consistent is really not easy. Let's swap these two as a buffer.
Yep, I'm ready.
So no. Again, still vulnerable to tool belt, but it looks like she's working on her own weapon, so it will be lucky in that respect. She won't interrupt our plans. Yeah, she's basically using the same sort of idea as us. So it's a question of whose deck is more streamlined about it.
Good work there.
Yeah, I slightly hit her in the weapon department. Ooh, that's not good. We'll eat most of her weapon though, so. We'll eat half of the damage. There are way worse ways that could have gone.
Yep, I'm
She
ready.
might still tool belt me, but I need the health. Plus, this also gives me a slight backup plan if she, I'll have a little bit more gold this way, so I can buy a longsword if I need it to replace mine. You could actually put tool belt in this deck if you really want to auto counter other Linzas, but I don't really think I have the space for it. The deck is so concerned with making its own stuff work that it doesn't necessarily have the time to stop other people from doing things. Yeah, it's not for use of a foreign weapon. Like, okay.
Welcome. It is good to see you again.
Should have done that in a different order and had a web left over. So here's the question, is removing one of these and missing out on the damage worth hard countering another deck? It might be. It could certainly be.
Yep, I'm ready.
That's probably the best we're going to do. I wish I had drawn these earlier so I could have got more armor, but nothing for it. We ate a big fat weapon attack. Now we're back at full health and 12 armor. He hasn't tool belted us yet. This Linza is not very good. Killing her is not going to feel like an accomplishment. Unless you really, really need that one gold for something. Alright, 13-9 weapon. This is how the deck is supposed to go. I'm going to one-shot her in Chapter 5. Since we go first in particular. Okay, playing this is pointless. Obviously, playing this is less valuable than the weapon charge.
I must prepare for
Obviously,
battle.
playing this would be self-destructive. That's useless. Useless.
If I can, I shall play some cards. Yep, I'm ready.
You probably could replace these with something. Most of the time, it's not as valuable as the weapon charge, but what else is there to replace it with? You need a big creature. And I already talked about how the gain weapon durability equal to your opponent's gold guy is not particularly reliable. But he can certainly be a good buffer against weapon removal cards, durability removal cards. There's no way this Linza has any chance of winning. She made too many misplays. But at least now you can see how the deck is supposed to function. Better spend that 10 gold on something good. Not bad. Not enough. Yeah, her deck's like ours, but less well tuned. Ooh, that's actually not bad.
Easier than I thought.
But not enough. GG, I guess. I guess. Player made a lot of mistakes. But our decks have the same idea, so you can see how this deck might do. You can see how my. You can see how it went with my earlier revisions of this deck. So there you have it. A lot better than the last Linza deck I showed, but I still feel there could be improvements, like maybe swap these guys out for. I tried putting him in here, but again, hard to kill consistently. This might be a good backup for when your weapon dies or something like that. And so I pretty much have this guy in here to counter Raptor. But in this game, your deck slots are so valuable. I'm not sure spending slots on hard countering somebody is necessarily always worth it, especially when there's quite a selection of people. Quite a selection of people to go up against. That'd be nice. That would also be a good counter to weapon-based characters. And this is kind of like a version of that other guy that doesn't give you a weapon or a base attack. So, I don't know. I like the idea of the deck, but it still needs fine-tuning. Maybe another dick move. But as far as basic decks go, with just commons and uncommons, if that's what they're called, I think that this deck works reasonably well. There are adjustments you can make to it. It could be fine-tuned quite a bit, but for a kind of more budget deck, I think it works decently. And I think that I underestimated Linza in my previous video. She's not as bad as I said she was, but I think that she needs a lot more practice, and I need a lot more experience with her before I can call her on par with the other characters in terms of consistency and efficacy. But thanks everybody for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.